Malachy O'Rourke, the scenes here in Clonus were unbelievable as Derry were crowned the Ulster champions after a 24-year wait. It was 116 to 114 in the end against Donegal. What did you make of the match?
It was a great match, a great spectacle. I suppose it took a while to warm up and that it was very cagey early on, as I suppose we expected to be. And both teams were, I suppose it continued all through the game, both teams were very afraid of giving the ball away because once the other team got it was a while before they got it back, and it led to a chance up at the other end. So the first 10-12 minutes very cagey. At that stage I thought Donegal were very wasteful. They had maybe, I think, 8 or 9 attacks early on and maybe got 1 point from it. Derry, on the other hand, were more efficient going forward. I think they wasted the first couple of attacks, but after that then they were more potent, and then the goal obviously was a big one for them. But overall, first half, Derry probably just shaded it and went in deservedly 3 points ahead. And the thing about it was they were just that wee bit more efficient. You know, Donegal had as much of the play, but Derry were just more efficient, made better use of the possession, and that's why they led at half time.
And bringing it back to that first half then, like in those first 10, nearly 15 minutes, I think it was about 12 minutes before we seen a score, you know, it was so cagey. It was all men back behind the ball. They were almost trying to figure each other out.
Yeah, that's right, and that's the way when teams set up like that. You know, when you're attacking, you have to, it's just a case of trying to probe, be patient, look for the openings, inject a wee bit of penetration at the right time, get the right men on the ball and that sort of thing. So it's tough. That's why teams set up defensively like that, because it is so tough to break it down. Probably the best chance you have of getting scores in a game like this is from kick-outs, and both teams were very effective on their own kick-out. Particularly in the first half, I think Derry might have scored about 1-5, because obviously when Donegal pushed up in the kick-out, if Derry won it, there was a lot of space then left in the attacking half, which they were able to exploit. So the kick-outs became very important. In the second half then, that changed a wee bit, in that Donegal were very good on their own kick-outs, and when Derry pushed up, they were able to either transition the ball fairly quick or win the kick-out out the field, and that led to a few scores from them. Probably, I thought in the second half when Donegal went up, I think they went 2 points ahead maybe twice in the game. I thought at that stage they had the chance maybe to push ahead, did a couple of times, won a couple of longer kick-outs and didn't exploit them. They were blown for overcarrying. I thought they could have took a wee bit more of a chance. They could have maybe ran at the Derry defence a wee bit more, but Derry in fairness were very strong in defence, and Donegal probably left to rue it, and that they let Derry in the game, and Derry were able to come back and get level and then ultimately win it.
And it was Oran McFadden-Ferry that got the goal. It was straight from the throw-in really of the second half. I think it rebounded back out from a Michael Langan shot, and then he got on the end of it, and that really got them back in the game. Yeah,
it was, and they needed something like that. You know, I was saying that in the first half, that in a game like this, 3 points behind is a big deficit to claw back, you know, with points, because the way Derry were set up, it was always going to be hard to do that. So that immediately gave them that boost to start the second half. You know, I did think Donegal controlled the play a wee bit, you know, during the second half. But again, I just felt that they didn't punch enough holes. I felt that they didn't use the inside men at all. They didn't try any high ball in. They didn't try any. You know, they played very little ball in front of the full forward line. And didn't take them off. Whereas I felt that Derry, even in the second half, even though they had less attacks maybe, that they were more inclined to take the Donegal defence on. They won frees and won got a couple of good scores as well. So I think that Derry were just that wee bit more incisive in their attack, and a wee bit I suppose they just were a wee bit more dangerous, I suppose, throughout the game when they got the ball up to the forwards.
Because Donegal had a lot of possession. They really did. We watched them time and time again of going back and over the field and back and over, and they were being patient on the ball. But as you said, maybe once, twice, try that long ball, you know, maybe try the quick ball, anything to see if they could maybe create something. But they never really tried that.
No, you see, and that's the thing, and what I know from experience, when you're facing a packed defence like that, you have to be patient. You can't kick the ball away stupid. But there are a number of ways of trying to break it down. You know, it's that patience, waiting for the runner to come. It's trying to get in wee gaps. But you also, sometimes you mix it up by sometimes popping the ball in front of the full forward line, getting a runner in to take the ball of him. It's trying to get behind the defence, you know, moving players about, trying to get in behind the defence. That's how Derry got the first goal, making those runs in behind defenders. I thought Donegal were a wee bit predictable when they had the ball. They were very patient. They worked a couple of good scores. Second half then, Michael Murphy scored a great score from distance. when they did go a point ahead, then they were able to suck the Derry defence out a wee bit, and then Ryan McHugh was able to penetrate, and he set up, I think it might have been Jason McGee ended up scoring the point at that stage. That put them 2 points up, but Derry came back and were able to get back into it, and in the extra time I thought Derry had the edge, definitely had.
Yeah, when I spoke with Declan Bonner there, he said it's particularly disappointing that they were that 2 points up and that they didn't kick on then. He thought they were going to, and it just didn't happen. And I don't know, from there, I think it was just that Derry really just gritted it out. They took their scores when they ran, as you said, they ran at the defence, and they got a few frees. Actually, that's what happened. I'm trying to even think myself. It was a long game. Shane McGuigan actually got a free. I think he got 2 frees, and obviously the free to level it. And I suppose they came from playing that attacking style, trying to run at them, try to win your frees.
Yeah, and it's so hard to remember. So much happened. It's very hard to remember the order in which it happened. I think maybe the first goal Derry got in the second half was maybe Emmett Bradley. And again, I just thought that it was one of those that when Emmett got the ball, he had it in his mind, I'm going to go here, I'm going to attack. And I just thought that mindset nearly, to rather than recycle it again, he kicked a great score over the bar. In the second half extra time then, I'm nearly sure Brenton Rodgers also ran at the defence and got a score. Shane McGuigan got a free, and then the last one again, Brenton Rodgers made another really incisive run. Conor Glass came looping off him or supporting him and kicked it over the bar. And I just thought that was the difference. I just thought that Derry committed the Donegal defence a wee bit more and either forced the free or got through that wee gap and a support runner was able to go. Whereas I thought maybe Donegal had more possession but just maybe didn't commit the Derry defence as much.
Yeah, at times it seemed like they were so afraid to lose that they didn't know how to win. I don't know if that even makes any sense, but they were over and back and they were passing, and it looked like that for Derry at times until they kicked on and got those last 2 scores. But it is a cagey game when you're here and you're in a packed Clonus house, and there's pressure. It's a really warm day, you're in extra time. It must be really difficult. No,
and there's no doubt, and after having watched both the Monaghan and Tyrone games, Monaghan had plenty of possession going forward, but still didn't win the game. So Donegal knew that if they had the ball, they couldn't give it away cheaply, because Derry really get their oxygen from turnovers and then coming out of defence. Derry have a lot of players back, but they're very fast transition up the field, and then against Monaghan they were able to get players into space and put the ball over the bar. So I think Donegal were going in with that in mind, that they didn't want to give the ball away stupid, and which you'd have no argument with that. I just felt, I suppose I'm repeating myself this, I just felt there was times maybe when they could have took that wee bit of a chance, being a wee bit more unpredictable. I think that when you're trying to break down a blanket defence, you have to bring a wee bit of unpredictability to it, or a wee bit of creativity, or whatever else it is. I think Derry defence were set up. I thought Derry defence, in fairness, throughout the game were really aggressive, really strong, set up well, but didn't give the Donegal forwards any room. I thought in the first half Donegal were a wee bit passive in defence. I thought that Derry, when Derry ran at them, put them in a wee bit more trouble, although I think Donegal were better in the second half. But overall, I think just that extra wee bit of hunger, that wee bit of freshness, that wee bit of sharpness, I think came through in the end. And I think Brenton Rodgers, Conor Glass coming through. Conor's an amazing athlete. He just keeps going, and sometimes the work he does isn't always seen because he's going back in defence. He's putting in the last tackle. He's doubling up on players. He's not letting them get a score. He's linking up the play coming out. So he's not doing it all round in the middle of the field. But those boys really put in a great shift and finished the game very strong as well. And Shane McGuigan was there as well. He was obviously cramping up towards the end, but he took the scores when he came. His frees were very good, and he wasn't afraid of work either.
And for Donegal now, this feels like a particularly tough loss. They haven't really been too consistent over the last number of years. People have questioned it, and I think going out there today, they maybe wanted to prove a point, and it didn't happen for them. What happens now with Donegal? Obviously, they've about 2 weeks or so until their next game, but it's tough times for them and Declan Bonner. Yeah,
there's no doubt. And the thing about Donegal, the team that loses the Ulster final is obviously now facing a team who have already had one game in the qualifier series, and that team, they're meeting a team now who are on the up and who have recovered from losing earlier on, and so that is a difficult game. If they get over the next game, it takes on a new light, and they're ready to go again. But that's going to be a difficult game. So it depends now who they're drawn against. But Donegal have a lot of quality players, they have a lot of experience in wrestling. But there's no doubt today now will be a big setback for them, especially after losing to Cavan in the last Ulster final. You know, they've had a few disappointments along the way. So, but look at the 2 weeks, as you say, they've lots of quality players, and you know, as I say, if they get through the next one, they're right back in the picture. But that's going to be the tough one.
And what about Derry? Where can they go? Where do we see them going this year? Because I think for them, they said the Ulster final was where they wanted to get to, and then they'd see after that. That's what they told me there. But I'm sure they have their sights set on big things.
Yeah, there's no doubt, and you know the way sometimes is that first year when you have that momentum behind you and everything is going like that there, sometimes that's your best opportunity. So I've no doubt, no matter who Derry play, they're going to be really, really hard to play against. The way they're set up, you know, they get so many bodies back, they're a really sound defensive structure, and then they're good going forward. You know, they get support runners, they use the ball well, they're very efficient going forward. And you know, if a team that's going to beat them is going to have to be really well prepared, they're going to have a good attacking framework, if you like. They're going to have to use the ball well. They can't afford to give away cheap turnovers. But at the same time, as we're saying all the time, you still have to be prepared to try different ways of breaking down the defence. So, no, Derry's no team will want to draw them, and Derry have been going from strength to strength. They've come through 3 really, really tough games. Today, obviously, those boys hadn't played an Ulster final before. They've came here today. They've went extra time. They've absorbed setbacks. You know, even the goal at the start of the second half might have knocked them out of kilter. But no, they absorbed all the setbacks and they came through. So that'll fill them with confidence. And I'm sure they I would imagine that the Ulster final was their aim at the start of the year. But once you get over that, now you're looking to push yourself on, and I've no doubt those players will. And the age profile is very, very positive for them. They're young lads. They've done serious work. They're in great shape. So no, they'll be looking forward to the rest of the campaign.
Absolutely. And just to finish then on the scenes here was just incredible. I don't think I've ever seen anything like this with the flags, the amount of flags, you know, that's something you would have seen years ago, and everybody out on the pitch, and yeah, it was just amazing to see.
Yeah, it was, and because obviously Derry have been starved for a number of years, and that's what I was saying before the game, it was great to see the bus full of supporters coming back up the road, and that sort of thing that you had been used to seeing in Ulster finals. I suppose the last number of years there was a number of teams dominated, and once you win it once or twice, or you know, that sort of that novelty wears off, and it's not the same excitement. But no, with Derry winning today, it was a massive excitement. There'll be massive excitement around the town. You know, I'm chatting to different Derry ones, and they're looking forward to getting back home into their own county and celebrating tonight. So no, it's great. It's great football, and looking, you know, I suppose after the 2 provincial deciders yesterday were I suppose to a degree, not being disrespectful, but were non-events. Today really was it made you realise why people in Ulster valued Ulster Championship so much and don't want it then, because you would hate to see that you would never have days like this again. And for teams who might necessarily win All-Irelands, see winning an Ulster title means so much to supporters, and for Derry today, a brilliant day.